every one of you, welcome to Cape Town!
And I wasn't going to use the word gatful, my own just gatful.
So Mayor, why are we here? What are we protesting?
This is the DA's Power to the People March. It's wonderful to see the enormous support that we've got from all over Cape Town. It's nice to see other organizations coming to join us here today. There's a wonderful energy and vibe and spirit in the city. And the message is simple, that we reject the 18.65% energy price hike of the government.
They want to give us an increase on power that we don't even get. What kind of a crazy government is that?
And we say to the government, get your head out of the sand and start dealing properly with this energy crisis.
When we were marching down Darling Street, I couldn't help but wave across to Madiba standing on the balcony. If Mandela was alive today, Mandela would be in this march.
Sit net aan die lagte asseblief.
Ons is so lekker by die DA. Die is hier afwa. En ons is aan die draai.
Yeah, we are going to defend this house. This is a constitutional house of the ANC. They must respect it as we respect it.
Mr. Plato, why are we here? What are we trying to achieve?
We're here as a nation of Cape Town to express our disgust with the current electricity load shedding situation. And the aim today is to give national government a very clear message that the citizens of Cape Town and the Western Cape will not tolerate this current situation any longer.
Comrades, if it was not for councillors of City of Cape Town heeding to the call of mobilizing their wards to come here, we would not be here today.
And if the national government doesn't do anything, will you take powers yourself? Will you resort to illegal means, quote-unquote illegal means?
I don't think we will resort to illegal means. We are a disciplined political party, the Democratic Alliance in particular.
We are protesting against, ultimately, a dysfunctional party that is leading our country dysfunctionally. They do not deserve to govern anymore.
Ladies and gentlemen, why are you here? Aren't you part of the problem?
No, the reason why we are here is that we've seen a statement that released by the DA, and it's not just about the issue of load shedding. Then there was the issue of corruption, there was another issue and 3 other issues. And we've said it now seems as if it's an election campaign that they're running for 2024 and not necessarily a particular crisis that all of us are facing.
Today is the culmination and the feeling of the people of South Africa in their protest against the increase by NERSA, imploring Eskom to charge that to the people of South Africa. And that is grossly unfair. It's unaffordable. We've just come out of the pandemic, and now we are faced with another pandemic, and this time load shedding. Why should we be paying more if we are left in the dark?
It's impacting our economy. It's impacting our health services even now. And now it has gone over to impacting agriculture and thereby food security. Do you believe that such a party deserves to govern us? No!
Jack, why are we here? What are we doing?
Donald, we're here to take a stand against the ANC government, to hold them to account. We've been experiencing blackouts for the last 5 years, and over the last few months it's become absolutely unbearable. The middle classes, the working people of this country cannot survive under these conditions. So we've got to tell them enough is enough, put an end to load shedding.
At the end of the day, it's a joint message of various political parties in Cape Town to national government, and to say to them, we give you a wake-up call, we give you a catch-up call. You will have to step into line to budget for the necessary budget needed by Eskom to deal with old ancient infrastructure, to deal with old equipment, and currently the budget availed to Eskom is clearly not enough. They cannot do what they need to do, and that is part of the problem we experience.
load shedding is the ANC. It is their fault. And how do you fix the ANC? You vote them out.
But are you responsible for the load shedding crisis?
There is a parliament that includes everyone, including John Steenhuisen, including leaders of the DA. And all of them should find a solution with our president, led by our
Okay, but
president.
what can the DA do? You are the majority in the parliament. Only you can solve this problem.
They are part of the committees. We are not there alone as a majority organization. They are part of all committees, including the Energy Committee, including Public Enterprise. They are part of those committees. Solutions come from all of us. It's a people's parliament. It's not an ANC parliament. It's led by a majority party, but it is a people's parliament.
Jack, tell us about how a lot of the electricity goes to places like 7 other African countries. What's happening there?
This is one of the primary reasons we've got to hold the ANC to account. South Africa gives electricity to 7 other Southern African countries, yet we can't keep our own lights on. None of those countries, Namibia, Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Angola and others, they had their lights on 24/7. Our lights are going up 12 hours a day, 12 hours on. If the ANC can provide so much electricity to our neighbors, yet they can't keep our lights on, something doesn't add up. We believe that there's something crooked going on behind closed doors, and we want to hold them to account.
They are a criminal entity leading our country down the spiral. And what is happening at Eskom with all of these blackouts? It's sabotage, it's criminality. Because the rule of law means nothing to the ANC. That's why they were afraid that we had to stop in front of their office, because they are part of this criminal act. And the sabotage is due to incompetency because of poor cadre deployment affecting even us here in the Western Cape. And cadre deployment is an act of criminality. Call it what it is. Hou op skaap is, om die ding te noem wat hy is.
The ANC government is really taking South Africa for a ride. We cannot afford it. The increased prices, the knock-on effect on basic foodstuffs is horrendous. And we're saying enough is enough. We cannot take it anymore. No more.
Ons is ook bekommerd as die ANC. We don't want the regulator to put up prices by 18% this year. The regulator is a statutory body, but the president has engaged Eskom and said, let's look at this. In the medium-term budget, there's also a plan to ring-fence Eskom's debt. Now, we can go into many issues about what has led to this crisis. And it is an issue that we have to take responsibility for as the government, but as Ronalda has said, this is actually one of those South African issues that all of us must come to the fore. So this march is misplaced. If they think Eskom is the main problem, go there. But this is simply the DA worried that they're going to drop below 50% in the Western Cape next year. So they are now trying to get support.
We are joining people across this great country called South Africa. They are marching in Gauteng. They are marching in Malmesbury. They are marching in George. They are marching everywhere. People are standing up to say, ek het nou genoeg gehad.
And it was Patricia the little part of the problem by centralizing powers in the executive mayorship. Is that a legacy that we might be struggling with to this day?
No, I don't think so. I think it's a national government problem. After all, I think it is the inability of national government to manage. It's a huge managerial problem. It's clear National Minister Gweda Montashe don't know what he's doing. They knew about this problem 15, 20 years ago. We are 30 years in the new dispensation. They should have listened to experts in the electricity and energy field. And they should act it, they should have budgeted year on year. They haven't done that. That is part of this problem we experience today. That is why South Africa is looking what it looks today. We have people who just cannot plan, who cannot manage.
In a normal democracy, the government would have resigned. They would have fallen. But not this ANC government. So what do we have to do? We have to take back the power.
And do you think you're doing enough to solve the load shedding problem?
President is coming with solutions. And we are saying to the DA, also put your minds together in terms of what solutions are there for this crisis that all of us are facing. Because it's not just affecting the DA, it's affecting also our constituencies.
SOEs are broken. Who broke them? The ANC.
These problems, they are broken by design. They will never be fixed at a national level. The only way they will ever be fixed is if you do it yourself.
And I want to hear you make some noise, Cape Town. I want to hear you make some noise. Even the independent guys, I want to hear you make some noise too.
Phil, why are we here? What are we trying to do?
We're trying to solve the electricity crisis, or at least start to find solutions to it. Yeah.
And do you see the Western Cape Devolution Working Group, do you see them solving this problem?
Well, I think to a certain extent, probably electricity is the one solution where actually the Western Cape government have made fairly good progress and has started to find solutions. I think in 2025, the first 0.6 gigawatt will come on. So probably it's not been the focus of the Devolution Working Group because in many ways the legislative hurdles have already been overcome. There just needs to be time to move forward.
And when we will get rid of all load shedding stages? Because at the moment it's -2.
Our target is within 4 years to be rid of 4 stages. And I think we're on track to do that.
I think probably the challenge from a Cape Independence perspective is just that, to say how long has it taken, knowing what the problem is. I mean, I think the DA said in their own website that they identified this problem 25 years ago. They've been in power for 14 years. The question is, why couldn't they fix it? And it's certainly not for lack of trying, to give the DA's credit, but our system of government has actually prevented the provincial government from protecting the provincial people from the national government.
Many of you said, Amandla, Awetu. That meant power. Power to us, the people. But where is that power?
And is Cape Independence the solution?
We believe Cape Independence is the solution, but we're willing to find any midway between Cape Independence and keeping the lights on, keeping a government to account, and making sure that the people of this country can live the best possible lives that they can.
Awesome. Thank you, Jack. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Donald.
Do you think the solution is to move the ESCOM to the Energy Department, Winde Matashe?
Well, the ANC has a clear resolution on that. The National Conference decided very clearly that that ESCOM must move to the Department of Energy. That's the decision we're aware of, and we would support that. The issue is energy isn't just renewables. It's renewables very importantly. It's nuclear, it's coal. One of the resolutions that the President and the National Committee made is that there are 6 key power stations that are not producing what they should do. We must ring-fence that. The renewable power must come on board more. The connectivity must be there. But there's also hydro. There's also natural gas. So people must realize that a lasting solution depends on the whole energy mix.
But it seems that your party's only really moved forward now that you're being challenged by Cape Independence Support, which I understand is amongst your own party support, roughly at about 50% at this point.
Well, I don't know. That's
well, I mean, yeah, you can hold damn lies and statistics. I understand, but it seems to me that it's a bit late in the game to be starting. I mean, the problems have been recognised more than
I wish we'd been more aggressive earlier, but
I know.
And we have to be aware of climate change, but you can't just say stop this today. You've got to look at the interests of the workers. Look at the interests
I think now in terms of the climate change resolutions, they're closing down coal power plants.
Many coal power plants, we know, and that's part of the problem, have reached their sell-by date. So one option is whether you extend them, you can also utilize technology which makes it cleaner. But we have to bring in natural gas. We've got to bring in more renewables. And we've also got to look, people want to dismiss nuclear. But why is it that Europe now is importing all our best coal to Europe, and then suddenly climate change doesn't become a problem to them? It's hypocritical.
So if I understand correctly, devolution is too slow a process. Cape Independence is really the solution we need to drastically solve this problem.
Well, look, in terms of electricity, I think the back of this particular problem has been broken legislatively. Like I say, I think we still need to let the free market in and to address the issue. But I think the working group and Devolution would focus on other issues. I think would be a priority now, and I think likewise for Cape Independence. Eskom crisis is very obvious because your lights go off 2 or 3 times a day, but there are other problems that are just as pressing that perhaps aren't quite as self-evident, and Cape Independence is certainly the solution to those.
And what?
Yeah.
So you go.
Unemployment being the biggest one.
Oh, yeah. Officially, you're against Cape Independence.
Yes.
Okay. Unofficially, still.
Me personally, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Our children are not safe on our streets. Gangsters run rife. The fault is the ANC.
Mr. Mayor, you've said that you want to take control of policing.
Yes.
If Mr. Beketshele doesn't give it to you.
Yes.
What does that mean? Isn't that Cape Independence?
No. That's just formally devolving powers from the national states to capable local governments like cities, like the city of Cape Town, who are willing and able to take it on, whether it be in trains, in policing, and in power.
Change starts today. We found the fault where SASSA payments are not paid to the poorest of the poor. Where's the fault? That's the ANC.
I talked to a couple of your old legal advisors a while ago, and they were saying that there's a sort of there has been until recently an internal cultural problem where the party waits for permission from the national government to make a move, and that you've been one of the very first who've taken the stance of, well, that it's better to ask forgiveness than permission.
Sure, that's true. But look, the conditions in South Africa have materially worsened. So,
yes.
So I do have some sympathy. We are also the party of the upholding the rule of law and the constitutionalism. So there's an internal tension between being, loyal and showing fealty to the law and to the constitution, which we care for dearly, and saying basically, well,
it's
for forgiveness.
It's a difficult balance to strike.
Yeah.
I know that
We've never seen the DA clean up their own mess in this province. Sewerage is running in many of our streets. There aren't proper services. We also know that the DA is opposed to a minimum wage. The DA says nothing when farm workers are evicted. We've never seen them march about that. So, and even if you looked at their posters, there's a verkiesing foefie van hulle. As hulle ernstig was byvoorbeeld oor dat die Weskaap apart moet wees. Hoekom het hulle nie gemaak oor succession? Nee.
There's a squatter camps here around the corner. Why can't we deal with that problem?
So the law in South Africa says that any person who lives in any kind of structure, whether that be a home or even a tent, cannot be removed from that structure without an order of court called an eviction order. And in order to get that, you have to be able to provide alternative accommodation at the public expense. Now, we can argue about the rationality of that law. To be honest, I have profound concerns about that law. But it is there, and that is the courts have upheld it in many, many cases. So what we have to do is provide the alternative accommodation at our public expense, and then go to court and ask for the eviction order to grant the eviction to compel those people to move into that alternative accommodation.
But aren't they contravening other laws?
Yes, they're contravening many other laws, but in many court cases, there's ample case law, probably a dozen or more cases, that the Prevention of Illegal Evictions Act, the so-called PI Act, trumps many other laws and bylaws. You cannot, because it's linked to the Bill of Rights, you cannot evict anyone without alternative accommodation and an eviction order granted by a court.
There are squatters right here around the corner. Would you be in favor of getting rid of those people?
Of the squatters?
Yeah, a lot of squatters around here.
That's a different question now.
Yeah.
Okay, but the homeless people, I know took the DA to court and won that case in court against the city of Cape Town. So I would say, yes, we understand. Housing is the biggest problem. Once we solve the housing issue in the Western Cape, instead of the DA returning all of that money that national government is giving them and ensure that there is affordable housing for our people, we won't have squatters anymore.
This last year, out of a housing grant budget of close to R1 billion, there was about 40 million rand unspent. Now, if you think of that over the course of a budget of $1 billion, that's 4%. That means 96% spent. Now, it's extremely difficult to get exactly at 100% when you're spending that kind of budget.
Will the ANC get 50% in 2024?
Where? Nationally?
Yeah, nationally.
Oh yes, we are going to fight that.
And the People's Bill, what is this bill you're trying to now bring into Parliament?
I'll talk to you about that another time.
Okay.
There's a Western Cape Devolution working group at the moment, and I was contracted to do some research for AfriForum in this regard, and looking at all of the different loopholes and areas where the Western Cape actually has considerable powers to take power back. It struck me as it was very frustrating to write because I realized immediately that this is going to take years and years and years to get done.
Yes.
And this process should have been started when the DA first took power, when this was on their manifesto. And it's very, very disappointing. And at this stage of the game, to get those powers, it's now far easier to actually achieve independence than it is to get any of those powers back in a significant way.
If independence is your goal, which it's not.
Well, yeah. But I mean, look, if you do the calculations on the national budget, it's growing 4% a year. GDP grows 1%, is 6.6% a year. By that calculation, considering the history of debt defaults and hyperinflation, we're heading for Zimbabwe by 2035 if nothing changes. And the ANC has a huge amount of disruptive, nasty things coming down the pipeline now, which means that deadline can probably be shifted up by 5 years.
That's why we got to vote them out.
That's not going to happen, and you know it.
Well, it might happen in 2024.
The ANC going to 2024, and we are going to defend the ANC with all that we have. If they come back tomorrow, they are going to find us ready.
We certainly believe that greater decentralization, devolution of powers down to the local provinces, which we've managed to get the DA on board with. But further than that, we do believe that independence would be the final step required to hold the ANC government to account and put an end to this insanity.
And every single South African that wants change, that wants to fix the problem, goes out and votes the ANC out. Ons is klaar, Pettele.